but it's better than never. Hello, hi Bharti. Looks like we are getting tested with our tech in terms of the theme of our talk today. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am so excited to have Bharti Dekate, a dear friend of mine for years, and also somebody I really, really admire in terms of not just her professional successes, but also a lot of her personal successes, I would say. And I thought she would be just the best person to bring on this podcast with Unstoppable Me for Thrive with Mentoring. A very warm welcome to you, Bharti. How are you today?
I'm very
I'm
well.
very
Thank you
well.
so
Thank you
much,
so much,
Shivangi. It's an
Shivangi. It's an
absolute
absolute
privilege to be
privilege
here.
to be
I love
here. I
talking
love
to you
talking to you
always, and
always, and
on a
on a
live
live
streaming, it's
streaming,
super
it's super
exciting. Very
exciting.
excited to
Very
be here.
excited to be here.
Same here, same here. And you know what? I don't want to edit your story because of my own biases and impressions. So I'm going to ask you to walk us through a little bit of your, life trajectory, both personal and professional. How would you narrate that?
Hmm.
Hmm.
So this is
So
going to
this is
be
going to
a
be a
tricky thing to
tricky
do
thing
in
to
a
do
few
in a
minutes,
few
but
minutes, but
I'll try to
I'll
keep
try
it
to keep
short.
it short.
I grew up
I
in
grew up
different
in different
parts of
parts of
India,
India,
moved
moved
around quite a
around
bit,
quite a
did my
bit, did my
schooling
schooling
across
across
8
eight
different
different
schools and
schools and
colleges,
colleges,
studied
studied
human
human
resources,
resources,
very
very
quickly moved
quickly
away
moved
from
away
human
from human
resources
resources
into
into
consulting,
consulting
and then
and then
eventually running
eventually
a
running a
business that I've
business
been
that I've
running
been running
for
for the last
14 years
14
now.
years now.
I work
I
across
work
the world.
across the
My
world. My
team
team
delivers
delivers
services
services
across
across
22
22
countries
countries
now and
now and
counting.
counting.
I'm a
I'm
mother
a
of
mother of
a
a
17-year-old,
17-year-old,
and
and
I'm
I'm
presently
presently
logging in
logging
from
in from Mumbai.
Presently logging in from Mumbai. Great. Is it as hot as Switzerland? I mean, it's really, really crazy here. We are boiling literally.
We are
We
drowning
are
in the
drowning in the
monsoon.
monsoons.
You're drowning in the monsoons. Okay. So, speak to me a little bit about, I mean, you've gone through various challenging life phases, I guess, but speak to me about maybe one or two of your most challenging life phases. And I'm also very interested to know, what did you really learn from those phases?
Hmm.
Hmm.
So I've had
So I've had
several
several
challenging
challenging
events,
events,
and most
and
of
most
them
of them
um,
they've lasted for a while. I guess the shortest was 6 months, and the longest perhaps lasted for 6 years or more. These have been challenging moments around my personal health when I came very close, almost to not surviving because of an Australia antigen virus when I was in second year of college, to having a super insecure boss in my first job, to my parents' relationship. And very, very recently, I walked out of my 17 years of marriage because my partner was abusive and resorted to violence. All of these have been pretty challenging for me. What I learned out of them, what I've learned, Shivangi, is I need to make health a priority because my native homeland is my body. And if I don't take care of my body physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, whatever it means to you, it is very difficult to show up with positivity and continue to move on. I've, I have two more learnings. I've learned that it's important to suffer with dignity when things go wrong, because when times are tough, going through the situation may not be a choice that you have. You have to go through it. You have to go through a bad meeting. You have to go through working with colleagues day in and day out. You have to see the same faces at the house. You may not like your relationships, and yet you have to deal with all of them. But how you deal with them is a choice.
Very true.
I have learned this by I've made my own mistakes. I have shown up very, very fallen. I have made my mistakes of screaming, shouting, and not being very dignified, but I have learned that it pays to be dignified and to suffer with dignity is one of my mantras.
I love that
A
term,
third learning.
suffer with dignity. Wow. You know, I was just speaking to somebody. I mean, thanks to Thrive, I come across various stories. And I was recently speaking to somebody who's at the moment, going through, it's not over, going through a bullying case at work. And it's really, really difficult because, of course, as a lot of these stories, of course, I know one part of the narrative, as is always the case. She always was asking for more work. She was not given a lot of work. She was asked, as a professional, if she's underutilized, she can just do some professional development instead, and because there was just not enough work. And then later on, she was actually given a bad performance review, saying that she has not performed really well. And what stuck with me was her challenge to get out of this, right? Like, she kept telling me the same thing 3 or 4 times. So there is the whole emotional element around this, right? There is a whole emotional element around what could I have done differently? How can I mean, when you say this suffer with dignity piece, how does it come? Because I saw clearly in her that it is very difficult for her to get out of that narrative, to stop being victim, to also stop punishing herself. It's like reliving this again and again and again. And of course, it's not even that she wants to continue with this organization or this manager. She's fortunately, very qualified, and she will land another role. So, it's not the sort of situation which I know some people can go through, that, not having a job really like crumbles their whole life. That's not the case with her. But despite of that, it was very difficult for her to let go of the emotional baggage. And I know that this is this is something that is not uncommon. So how do you do that? How do you deal with these stories that we keep telling ourselves, that we keep repeating to ourselves?
That's interesting. It is true that our own saboteurs talk louder in these tough times. It's also true that people around you and the groupthink around you often tells you what you don't want to accept. And my own learning has been that it's important to choose courage, because that's the only thing that will catapult you out of the gravitational force of groupthink or mediocrity or your own sabotaging voices. And courage always upholds sanity. So showing up with courage.
That is really the question, right? Sorry. How do you manifest courage when it's your inner critique voices or your inner judge voices which are so loud, right? How does your voice of courage, which is also inside you, very much inside you, how do you let that have the last word? Any techniques or anything that has worked for you when your more negative voices seem to be louder?
For me, meditation has worked really well. Spending time with myself, with my own inner thoughts, to be able to discern the voice of intuition from the voice of fear. I've learned that the voice of fear sounds very different. Voice of fear is often framed as, what if? The worst. Versus the voice of intuition is lighter. It is in the vein of, try it. Maybe it'll work. It might give you results. Learning to discern these voices within you takes quiet reflection time. It takes commitment to be brutally honest with ourselves, so that you can discern what's right for you from your fears.
Yes, thanks for that. I think that's really useful. I mean, one of the things I have used a lot and continue using is writing. I don't know if you have any kind of a writing practice, because often, and I did a workshop recently for some women from my community, and they, the same, that voice of fear, when you see it in black and white on paper, You just look at it yourself and you just think, my God, that's ridiculous, right? But till you have actually put it out there in black and white, till it is inside your head and doing those, circles and rotations that it keeps doing, it seems much bigger, much scarier. And once you put it out in whichever way, writing is one way, meditation is another way. And people have different meditative practices, right? Whatever they might be. For some, I think it's gardening. I think that really helps you to discern those voices and to look at them for what they are, because somehow, and I don't know if that's the case with you, but I've seen that definitely, that in daylight things seem lighter as compared to at night when you're sleeping and everything is dark. Things seem much darker, right? So there is always almost a given that these things are going to impact us, that the triggers that we get from the external environment, be it people or even just the way in which we are living, they are going to impact us. So how can we create systems that are going to be supportive to us? I think that is really, really useful. Another question for you, and you've said a little bit around what has made you unstoppable. Has that changed? Do you think that a younger Bharti was unstoppable for different reasons as compared to the Bharti of today? How have you evolved, or how? I know you're unstoppable. The question is, how does this unstoppability manifest itself?
I think 20 years back or so, there was raw warrior energy to my courage. Today, I think my unstoppability is a lot more mature. It has the capacity to take more people with me. I also noticed that today my unstoppability is not just inclusive, but it listens more. It's also about discovering more, embracing the difficult, and creating possibilities not just for myself, but also for others. I think there's a lot more that comes out of situations today than would come out 20 years back. And I would attribute it purely to maturity.
Yeah. So what are your hopes and dreams for the next phase of your life, Bharti? Where are you going?
My intention is to lead a full life, beyond location, beyond roles, beyond the work that I do. My hope is to make the world a better place. And I do it in different ways. My hope is to create vehicles of transformation. Right now, vehicles of transformation take the form of the consulting practice that I run, bringing transformative experiences, learning experiences, culture solutions to clients. I also work with social spaces where post-disaster, I get to transform the places that people live in and help them make post-disaster situations better for their quality of life. It also takes the form of cyber safety education in school systems. I'm deeply conscious that these vehicles of transformation can look very different as I evolve with time. So my hope is to continue creating and being in vehicles of transformation. My other hope and my other hope is to be relevant to my loved ones. I'm told I'm a cool mom. Beyond that, to my 17-year-old, and my parents to be a caring daughter, for my friends to be a wise counsel in different roles, to stay relevant and enjoy the work that I'm doing.
Great, great. What would you like to say, Bharti, to someone who's going through a tough phase right now, right? So someone who's at a dark place, who at this moment doesn't see any light at the end of the tunnel?
If you're in a dark place and if you cannot see light, I think the very first thing that is important is to believe in yourself, no matter the contrary evidence that comes to you, no matter what people are saying and how it scrambles your thoughts and feelings. It's important to know that your body has wisdom and you know what is best for yourself. Trust yourself, believe in yourself. I would also say that you must choose to prioritize your health, because till you're healthy, you will have the energy, the mental and the emotional spaciousness to deal with what comes your way. And in order to do that, my third piece of advice would be make space for renewal. Carving out time to spend on yourself, doing activities that renew you, painting, dancing, family time, play board games, anything that's not passive. Don't binge watch. That's not renewal. Play sports. Do something active, because that will bring you energy that is very difficult to develop otherwise. So those are the three pieces of advice that I would give somebody who's in a dark spot. Believe in yourself, prioritize your health, and make space for renewal.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I mean, that sounds very aligned to a TED Talk I saw recently saying, how do you bring more fun in your life, right? Because we almost think of fun and renewal activities as something that we do as an afterthought. And it's unfortunately not some things which might feel as fun, they might not be fun, right? Like you said, binging on the Netflix 10 episodes at a time, that's probably not fun. So the activities that can actually create some playfulness, and connectedness, like you said, with the other person, and bring you in this state of flow. Because an activity, I mean, I've always been thinking, what is leisure? What is leisure? I mean, leisure is really the time where you're not performing, where you're doing things with absolutely no outcome. And I think our lives are so full of outcome related activities that it becomes super critical for us to balance that with activities. But it's sometimes difficult to even figure out what is leisure, what is fun, because we fall into those traps of what is supposed to be fun, and what is supposed to be fun may actually not be renewing you. Thanks for that so much, Bharti. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and of course we'll continue our conversations. And thanks for all the advice and sharing that you have done today. Have a very nice, is it afternoon for you or evening? Take care. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Thank you to everybody who has joined in. I can see some comments in the chat window. Thank you, Rhonda, David, Amit, and Leslie.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.